Good afternoon. I don't know if you can see it on there. Let's have a look. Yep, Talking Bollocks, part 31. It is Sunday, April 26th. And I've been busy today, so we're a bit later than usual. It's 5:15. So as soon as I sat down, obviously Pudding has to come in and have cuddles because I've been busy. She was evilly eyeing the paperwork that I had out on a table and on the bed, of which was at one point spread all over my bed. But she's she's a good pussycat. She does love a cuddle, although I'm often covered in... What am I covered in? Your scratch marks, aren't I? Yeah. So, despite the weather actually being really, really lovely, I decided to spend the afternoon doing my probate for my grandmother's estate. So, my grandmother died 20th of June last year, 2019, and I'm one of the executors of the will. And it's been an eye-opener of how you deal with a state when someone has passed away. So it's also been an eye-opener how emotional it is, letting go of things like signatures, things that she's signed and written, things that she had for a long time. A good example of that would be when... Let's move me over. When she had bought premium bonds and national savings certificates. And the national savings certificates had her name on them and her signature. And as silly as it sounds, when I sent them into national savings, it made me really emotional because it was letting go of another piece of her signature. Of which I have boxes, which I will collate one day, in my cupboard of postcards that she would send me when she went away, or postcards that she would just send sometimes twice a week, every couple of weeks, from her house that she'd collected from her travels over the years. So, yeah, I've spent a good, I think, literally just finished doing it, and it's about 5:10, and I started it about 2:30, and I had to do inheritance tax disclaimer or inheritance tax online, which you have to do before you apply for probate online. I have to say, I do find it quite interesting, apart from the emotional aspect of dealing with my much loved grandmother's estate. It's also the accountant Virgo side of me actually really appreciate. It's like playing adult post office in a way, and actually dealing with her estate is kind of it's in a weird way, it's linking into all the post office games that I played as a kid. But I'm glad it's sort of nearly there and nearly done. Yeah, it's a weird thing, and it does make me think about. And I was watching something else about on a Zoom meeting about other people preparing their wills and their estates and what you want done with things, and that's definitely something that I'm going to do this year. Not of any morbid or macabre sort of thing, just that I think that it's something that you should do because everything should be in one folder, or at least a list of things that should be done in a certain way to make sure that you make it easier for those that have got to go through your paperwork, basically. And if anyone wants any advice on probate, I got quite good at it because I've had to. Seriously, in one way, thinking about actually doing some sort of probate thing, but I think you have to do actual law or something or other, I don't know. Anyway, but I must admit, I got about halfway through and I had to take a picture of something, and it had her signature on. And yeah, I got kind of suddenly emotional. I didn't expect it. It seemed to come from nowhere, and yeah, it caught me by surprise. And I think that's the thing with grief, is that it does actually catch you by surprise. I feel all right now. I just feel a bit headachy from having to identify myself to the government maybe 7 different ways. Which if anyone has done anything like Government Verify or HMRC or probate or inheritance tax or anything online that is that sort of thing. They seem to ask many questions. But I'm pleased to say that it was quite easy. I just had to spread the paperwork out and have it in the order that I needed it to be in to be able to fill in all the bits of the forms. But I do find it quite interesting, as I said before. And I mean, it's weird. It's sort of part of me wanted to get on with it a lot before her birthday on 10th of May. I had planned to go to her grave on the 10th of May, but I don't think the cemeteries are gonna be open by then. My nan's also buried in the same grave, which is where my grandmother, my nan is my great grandmother, who actually we called Little Nan for years, and my grandmother wanted to be buried in the same grave as my nan, who, as I said, we called Little Nan, but she was my great grandmother. She lived to, I think she was 93, and my grandmother was 94, because she would have been 95 this year. So, you know, they seem that they make old bones, which is it's actually a thing that I heard on Downton Abbey. The downstairs staff were talking about people passing away, and somebody said old bones, and I like that saying, actually. I'm going to start using it, old bones. She did make old bones, and my great grandmother made old bones, so they all seem to sort of make it to, is it nonagenarians when they're 90 odd? And that's it's sad, but when they're 90 odd, you kind of can deal with it in a better way, because fuck, they've lived a life. I mean, my grandmother she lived in 2 countries. She travelled a lot around the world, of which I aspire to. And I was sort of thinking earlier of ways that if the cemetery isn't open on her birthday, of ways I can remember her. And one of them is I always used to take her chocolate eclairs when we went to visit, and I've never seen anyone eat a chocolate eclair so fast. But you know, it's that older generation that go, oh no, I'm not gonna. Oh okay, I'll just have a bit, and then they scoff the lot, right? And I do think it was that thing of being brought up a certain generation where you're told it's polite to leave a little bit of food on your plate, or another point, it's kind of like you finish everything on your plate. So I think the politeness would trigger in, and she'd go, oh no, and then eat the lot, which is quite nice. And I was looking through videos and photos of her last night, because of course I did that thing, even though I'm about to hit another first anniversary, which is her birthday on May the 10th. Of looking through old photos and videos, because even though it makes you feel worse in a way, because you then start to feel even more emotional, I think it's important to embrace those feelings and just go with them sometimes, which I did last night, and I have done today. So I think I probably get chocolate eclairs for me and the family for the 10th of May, and I think I probably go and see if I can find some of her favourite flowers to buy myself. Maybe something like, she grew irises, gladioli, and roses in the garden, as well as raspberries, black currants, red currants. I think she had a blackberry bush as well at the bottom of the garden. And I think that was probably accidental, not trimming something. So I think when it gets nearer to her thing, to remember her in the house, there's an area where I've got a shelf that I can put vases of flowers on, and I think I will see what they have, what I can get, because obviously it's a bit sort of weird. The florists aren't open, but you can get some flowers. I think there is a florist, someone posted near me, and I see whether she has any yellow roses, because my grandmother hated dull flowers like white, and I've got to say I'm there with her on it. Something bright anyway. But I do love to get myself gladioli when they come out. I think the flowers look beautiful. She liked lilies as well, but I don't really like them. And I kind of get a bit arsehole about it and cut their pollen bits off, because once they start to droop more, the pollen goes fricking everywhere, right? And I can't be dealing with that. So roses, I think, irises or gladioli. Yeah. yeah, it's kind of nice to get to the point where it's nearly done with. And then I can just get on the first year of all of the memories of different things and then go from there, I guess. I think grief leaves me like, it's almost like I've got a stone in my head. And it hurts, but it hurts in a weird way. Because I know I'm never going to see her again. It's different missing people that I have hugs with and friends right now. I mean, she was, don't get me wrong, she was a cantankerous she was a cantankerous old woman, I should say, when she, in her later years. But I also think that was a lot to do with her dementia not being diagnosed earlier. I remember there's a memory that came up on my Facebook, and I didn't share it from around Easter time. I think it was last year, actually, and it was a few days ago. And I literally went there, I had lunch there, which the home had arranged for me to eat with her. And she didn't know who I was. And I think I played 6 different characters. My mum, my aunt, an aunt of hers at one point, and different people that had been in her life, but she didn't know who I was. And I just played along. It was kind of like just being there for her and doing that for her, because it's really hard when you're sitting with a family member that has dementia and has no fucking clue who you are. At the same time, there were some moments where it was quite funny. She was speaking to me one day about the paraffin heater in her school, and in the school, and it took me maybe half an hour to work out what she was talking about. And I realised that she was actually talking about the paraffin heater that had been in a school that my mum had gone to in sort of Putney or Fulham, and how she was going to complain to the teacher. But it must have been around 19... she came back, I think, from Argentina in 60, so it must have been around 1961, 62. But she was just obsessed for 2 hours about this paraffin heater. And actually, I just listened and just went along and was like, oh yeah, I definitely think you should write a letter or even make an appointment to go see him. It's like, oh, they shouldn't have, but they're dangerous. And actually thinking about it, they probably were dangerous, these paraffin heaters. But yeah, so that's me today. Yeah, I was going to go out for a bike ride, and I might still, but I think I'm going to make something to eat first, because there does seem to be a lot of energy used by doing paperworky and thinking about her while I've been doing it. Yeah. I have said it before, but she gave me some of the things I think that I most love. She led them to me, and that was the theatre and doing things. I mean, she would moan about the fact that we would do things like, oh, you live a good life, don't you? And then actually really I think that we would do things. And in some ways, I think she was born at the time that wasn't right for her. She was a very adventurous woman. She was a go-getter. I mean, she learned all kinds of things. I think she did clog dancing and Irish dancing, and she helped out at the church. And she was a force. She certainly was a force, that's for true. And I actually think that I've maybe got some of that forceful strength that is so often put down in women, but I don't think it is something that we should be put down for, right? Yeah. Pudding's looking at me like, what the fuck are you going on about? So, have a lovely Sunday. I'm going to probably try and go to bed fairly early-ish tonight, because I've got a shift tomorrow for the volunteer work tomorrow evening, so I need to get a good night's sleep tonight. So I probably will go out after I've had something to eat, either for a walk with the big dog. Oh, now she's going to eat the... Don't eat them. You can't eat tulips. No, you can't. It's not good for you. Or something else. But I hope you're all doing well, and No, you can't eat the tulips. You're doing all right. And if anyone isn't, well, you know where I am. Send me a message. Yeah, send me a message. I know you're going to attack me because I'm holding you. Don't eat the tulips. You can't see this, but she's giving me a really... There we go. See, she's giving me a really filthy look. The tulips. How many times has that happened on this? I think that's the second or third time. Anyway, happy Sunday, guys. You take care of yourselves and take care of each other. All right. Bye bye.